Welcome to the Unshakable Dancer podcast, where we train the mindset behind competitive dance. I'm Miss Jen, dance educator and resilience coach. And this podcast is for the competitive dancer who struggles with confidence, comparison, rejection, and pressure, and for the parents walking alongside them. Because talent isn't rare, emotional endurance is. My guest today has danced on some of the most iconic stages in the world. She began dancing at just 3 years old, right outside of Manhattan, trained in the prestigious Royal Academy of Dance, and by 11 years old was already performing professionally. Her career has taken her from performing with the New York City Ballet to joining the legendary Radio City Rockettes and onto stages like Radio City Music Hall and Madison Square Garden. Along the way, she's appeared in productions like 42nd Street, West Side Story, and Beauty and the Beast, my favorite, and trained in ballroom with Dancing with the Stars professionals, including Max and Val. We know who they are. From ballet to precision dance, ballroom to musical theater, her versatility is incredible. And today she continues to share that passion by performing, teaching, and inspiring the next generation of dancers. So please welcome Kayleen Fallon, or as her dance students know her as, Miss K.
Hi,
Hey.
Jen. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. I think the listeners are going to have such an experience with this.
I hope so. I'm really excited that this opportunity came within just a few seconds.
I know. So guys, I literally met her last week. And we both sat on a panel, a panel of judges for this mock competition for this local dance studio. And she and I just hit it off. Like, when you know, you know.
Yeah, I feel like we're soul sisters now.
Yes! Oh my God, I love that. Okay, so we're going to get into it.
Yes.
And
let's get into the tea.
Yeah. Ooh, we're going to spill the tea, guys. We have the lingo going. Okay, so I know just from speaking with you, you started dancing at 3, which is when most kids get put into dance class. Do you remember what first drew you to dance, or what kept falling you in love with the art as a child?
I don't know. I think for me personally, I grew up in a world where I was a very shy kid, didn't really have a lot of friends. And I think my mom just kind of put me in a dance class and was sort of like, she'll make friends. She's going to be fine. Sort of like, let me push her out of her comfort zone in a way. And honestly, I think dance was my comfort. It was my friend. And I don't remember this moment, but both my dance teacher at the time and my mom remember this moment. And they still talk about this moment where I apparently bursted a bubble in my 5th position and a song. And I think they knew that it was something special to me. And from there, it just continued to grow, and it still grows today. So I'm so grateful to dance because it was my comfort. It was my safe space, and still is. It's still my best friend in a way. And I think that's where most people, they get lost in dance. And I think that's what I tend to try to teach my kids is that if you're not passionate about it, like, why are you doing it? And I just feel such a sense of release when I'm dancing and in confidence, and there's nothing else that matters in the world. I get emotional talking about it, but it's my best friend. It is the love of my life in a way.
I have to tell you, when you were talking, the thing that stuck out the most to me, and you said it again, is dance is my best friend. Mm-hmm. I think that's unique to this culture, this environment, because dance for me has always been my best friend. Mm-hmm. And I think I've never stated it that way. Like, oh, dance is my best friend. I've always said, like, oh, dance makes me happy. Dance makes me feel safe. Dance is where I go to when I'm feeling, fill in the emotion, happy, sad.
Mm-hmm.
But dance really is my best friend, and there's no breaking that up.
There isn't. There isn't. And we all go through our hardships, and I know I have my plenty of hardships, but dance has been that constant of bringing me back in. And I just am blessed that I was just pushed into a dance class at 3 years old. Thanks, Mom.
I think we can all thank our parents for that, right?
Yeah. I mean, thanks, Dad, too. But it was definitely my mom who really pushed to get me out of my comfort zone. She's always done that, in my upbringing. She knew I was the quiet, shy one, and that struggled emotionally. If she didn't have put dance in my life, I don't know where I would be.
There is that conversation where dance is therapeutic, and that's not where this is supposed to go. But
yes,
dance really is therapeutic because it's a whole body experience.
Yes.
And when you say, oh, my mom put me in this because I was shy and because she wanted me to get out of my bubble, how better than to do that than just to move your body to music and have somebody teach you how to move your body to music. And then you're just like, okay, I did it. Right? And now you're just like, okay, I'm out of my bubble. And now I feel comfortable being with myself.
Outside of dance, I wasn't able to really find myself unless it was with dance.
I love that.
And dance gave me the confidence. Like even with dance, like even with performing, I always doubt myself right before, and I don't know why I do it, but I know that once I get out there, nothing else matters. I teach that where it's like, no matter what you're going through the day, the second you show up in class, the second you show up at the door on the stage for a competition or for a show, you put all of your problems out that door and you're just present in the moment.
I love that. Okay. So we talked about how you started performing professionally at 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the listeners that I have and I know that a lot of the students that I work with are 11. What was that experience like at such a young age?
I'm so incredibly grateful for my dance teacher, Miss J. She had these opportunities for us as kids to work with people that were in that dream already, that we wanted to be in, and that I know I wanted to be in. And so she was able to give me so much to working with professionals on Broadway productions, performing at Madison Square Garden. I mean, not many people can say that today. A lot of people, like singers and performers and comedians, like they can say that, but like they can't say that they've, like everyday people they can't say that. So saying that for me out loud at 11 years old, I remember that day, that first day, it was a proud day, not only for me, but for my family, because they put so much faith, they put so much effort, so much support, knowing that that was something I loved to do. And it was just a proud family day, and I didn't want anything besides being proud of myself of getting there, but also proud that my family was proud of me, that they put those things where, it went into something that was for me. And so I've been so incredibly grateful for just that support, because if I didn't have that, and on top of having that passion for dance, I don't know if I would be able to say today how grateful I am for that experience at just 11 years old.
It sounds like you were sharing your best friend with your family.
I was, and
you want your family. We all want our family to be like, oh, Mom, this is my best friend, Julia. I want you to love Julia as much as I love Julia, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who Julia is, but Julia's my new best friend. But I'm going to go back to that statement of dance was your best friend. And so you just want to prove to your family, like, hey, this is my best friend. And I want you to be so proud that I chose her to be my best friend.
Right.
And I want you to be proud of, like,
Yeah.
my performance.
And I think at the time, my siblings and my dad, I mean, they supported it, but I don't think they fully understood it. And if it wasn't for my mom, she understood it. She knew. And I think that's why my family followed those footsteps, because they trusted my mom, knowing that this is her best friend. I think my mom knew. I never said that out loud. I don't even think.
I hope
I
my
think
mom
hears
this.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, if you're listening, and when you listen, because I know you will, I just want you to know that I'm smiling ear to ear just listening to your daughter talk about how you supported this journey for her.
I think I never had actually said those words, but I think we have had where she just understood. She could just tell by the look of my face. Where
I think a mom knows.
I think a mom
as
knows.
A mom.
As a mom.
As a mom.
A mom
I know.
always knows.
Yeah.
And so I think my mom knew that this was more than just dance. Like, it was my best friend. Like, I didn't have to tell her that. And I think that's why she put so much energy into being a mom, into being a supporting mom for not only me, but also my siblings. And I think we just dove into dance. Like, everybody was supposed to dance in my house, but it was definitely more for me. And I can't ever pay back for that. Ever.
I love that. I have a little bit of tear in my eye. And I'm only going to say that because I have a little girl I have two little girls, and one of them absolutely loves dance. Like, it's her best friend. Mm-hmm. And I have another little girl who loves to dance. And I think she's just, I love dance. Yeah. It's fun. And I think for her, it's a fun activity. But for my other one, it is her release and it's her best friend. So I love that. When you and I first met, we talked about the Royal Academy of Dance.
Yes.
And I'm very familiar with that because I taught at a very prestigious ballet school. And that was when I was first introduced to the Royal Academy. I know the pressure. I shouldn't say know it, but I'm familiar with the pressure that curriculum and their exams, push onto their students. And so a lot of the things that that I know that my listeners and that my students have dealt with is the pressure. But the Royal Academy is a very niche pressure. And so talk to me a little bit about that pressure growing up and how the pressure came from the Royal Academy of Dance examinations and kind of like what your experience was like with that.
Yeah. So to give a bit of background context for maybe some of your listeners, because the Royal Academy of Dance is really not known anymore. And so the Royal Academy of Dance is a prestigious dance training program through London, England. And they are very strict. It's a very strict examination. Even as a student, you have to wear a certain leotard. You have to wear a certain pair of tights. Like, I remember growing up, the difference between me and my sister, where I was very clean and I would show up and my hair would be nice, where my sister would be like, whatever, and be rolling in the grass in the front yard and just show up that way. But that was the difference between us. And, but I took it very seriously, where there were times where I really struggled, even from a young age, because I started around 8 or 9. Wow. And I remember just the pressure of that program. Like, you don't get scholarships. You have to pay. Like, there's $10,000 exams is on the line. And if you didn't pass, you had to repeat that grade the following year. And I was fortunate enough to have a teacher who was certified in teaching it. And she really taught, that was all year. It was just all year program where that's what our ballet training was. And I remember, there was a lot of pressure on me. There was part of me where my parents were not, they couldn't be able to pay for certain things, but they would do whatever it took to make sure I had the best dance education. Honestly, there were times I wanted to throw up, and I'm pretty sure I have thrown up right before. But I remember just that I would just go in and just know that I have to do my best. And if I don't do my best, then what is this for? And at the end of the day, it was not just for me, but it was for my mom. It was for my dad. It was for the whole purpose of why I'm doing this, to get to where I want to be in dance. And the pressure of it got better as I got older. And I remember the program got smaller and smaller in my dance studio. It came to like where people who couldn't handle it would just be dropping out like flies. And I remember I was I think I was started in a class where it was 20 girls. And then my final year doing the examinations, it was me and 3 other girls. Because in that sense, it was so old school to people. They couldn't understand how important this dance program was. You know, not just for the child, but even parents couldn't understand how important this was for your dance education, for your child. And I'm so fortunate that my mom was like, she's doing this. She is going to do this, and she's going to go through all of the grades because this is what she needs. And I will always say that to all my students. They'll be like, what do you need to take? What do I need to take in order to, get better? And I'll be like, you need to take ballet. Doesn't matter what kind of ballet class it is. You need to take ballet. Ballet is your foundation. Take ballet. I say that to them all the time. I will stand by it. Even if you do not take my class, you need to take ballet, because that is the foundation of all dance. And I stand by it because, I think for me personally, like I needed this, not just for dance, but in everyday life because of how disciplined I am today. And just like the confidence, I think it's just one of those things where you just get more confident as you get older through these dance programs. Not that I didn't want to throw up, before or after, but I know how I felt. I know how I did. And I know I did my best and showed up and did the work.
So I have to, for my students who are listening to this, and I have told you how important ballet is, I want to let you know I did not give her this script. And when I say I don't know ballet, but you should take ballet, and there are a certain few students of mine that I can think of in my head that I have said, go to ballet class, go to ballet class. This is why. Okay, so you said something that was really interesting. You said a couple things, and I think I want to dial in on 2 of them. One is parental pressure. And I've said this before in classes, and maybe it's the wrong thing to say, but also like it's important to me as a mom who pays for dance. I have said to my kids, like, hey, your mom is paying for this. Yeah. Like your mom works hard, and your mom could spend the money on, a new pair of shoes or a new purse or a new outfit, but she's choosing to pay for your dance education. So are we going to waste this? Or are we going to embrace it? And sometimes I feel kind of guilty for saying that, but like it's real. And so for like your mom, I know just from like having the conversation with you and like, hi mom, love you. Like I know your mom sacrificed a lot for you. And so my first question is, how did knowing what your mom sacrificed how did that pressure impact you? Does that make sense?
By reminding me every day. But no, seriously.
Okay, mom.
No, but I mean, honestly, I probably needed it to be able to be that student where I was the student in the class where my teacher didn't have to say that to me, what you say to your kids. They don't have to say, why are you here? Why are you wasting my time? Why are you wasting your mom's money that she could be probably using to go get her nails done right now, or going to get a nice pair of Gucci shoes? Ooh, Gucci. Like something. I don't know, but I just know, like I had that in the back of my mind. Like my mom was definitely resilient in anything that she did, especially as a mom. And I know that if she really wanted to, she could have been that mom where she just sent us to school and, just not be involved in that sense. And I think because she wanted us to succeed in life, not just in general, but she wanted us to be the best at it. And so I think that's where I come into, like, I have done my absolute best, whether it was through school, whether it was through dance, whether it was through even like the activities that I was not really even that good at, like soccer. And
I tried soccer too.
Soccer, and I'm sure there's other things like basketball. Basketball was a huge thing for my mom, where she told me, you need to be more aggressive. And I one day decided in practice, because she just hounded me like every day for it. And finally I lost it. And I was like, fine, you want aggressive? I'll give you aggressive. And so she remembers that day. And so it's one of those things where I know your mom brings the best out of you, even though it is annoying. I knew that she would say little things to me, but without even saying them. And I just knew it in the back of my mind. And I wouldn't have my dance teacher say, why are you doing this? Why are you wasting your mom's time and doing things around here for the studio so you can take class? Like, that was never in question. I wanted to be there. That was my heaven in a sense. Again, it was my best friend. It was never in question. It was never, my mom never, she still says that she has no regrets for doing what she did as a mom for me. And so I do take that seriously even today, because I do have kids similar to you where they're just there to hang out with their friends. And I'm like, why are you here? You're just wasting my time. And I think it's just come to that sense in some kids where they don't care. And sometimes it comes from the parents if they don't care.
What this tells me, and kind of where this brings me back to, is passion, right? Passion and wanting to be better.
Yeah.
And there's something else that you said, I had a part 2 to this.
Oh.
And it kind of brings me back to that part 2, which is, we have a passion for dance and we do what we can to succeed. You said, and I don't remember the exact number, but you were one of X amount of kids doing the Royal Academy of Dance curriculum. And by the end, you were one of like 3.
Yeah.
But that came from your passion and your resilience and your mental strength.
Which is interesting, because you don't think of it when you're in it as a kid. You don't think you have so much strength, especially like with just your mental and emotional stability. I could tell you, I don't think I had it at all. And still as an adult, I still struggle. But I think it's made me stronger because of that I was able to handle all of these things while going to school and being a straight A student, while doing soccer, while doing other things like playing the violin and all these activities my mom wanted me to be successful at. She really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but dance was always the common factor that was my safe space, and that I wanted to grow in and be connected to mentally, emotionally, and physically, as dance is physical.
Oh, it is. It's a sport, people.
It is a sport.
It is a sport.
Tell that to Lululemon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just loving this conversation and kind of understanding what shaped your relationship with dance. And at the end of the day, your relationship with dance has been, it's your best friend. And I think a lot of the people that I teach can agree with you. And I agree with you. Like, dance has gotten me through the happiest moments of my life, the darkest moments of my life, and has been my constant. And that's what a best friend is.
Yeah.
But I do want to, I kind of want to take a turn. So we all know that Royal Academy of Dance is ballet focused, even though there's a tap curriculum that I've tried. But after years of training as a ballerina, you were told and I know this from conversation, that you were too tall. What was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was heartbreaking. I was so devastated. And I'm very sensitive. I know that. And even then, I was probably more sensitive. At least now I have a little bit of a backbone and can fight back. And then I was like, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. It's never going to. But again, I was like 14, 15 at the time. And I remember I was told by one of my coaches and mentors from the New York City Ballet that I was too tall to be a principal dancer. And that's all I wanted to be. I just wanted to, I had like these goals of like, I want to be a ballerina for the New York City Ballet and be their principal dancer, and then go on to doing the Rockettes, and then going on to doing Broadway and anything else I can manage in between. It was just heartbreaking. Like it just was taken out of my plan. And when you've been planning for something for that for so many years and just having it's not going to be possible. And then I had another mentor telling me years way after everything, she was like, oh, you could have been a soloist. And I was like, what? I could have done this? But I think things happen for a reason. I think, it definitely took a toll on me, like mentally, emotionally, but I knew that it was for the best. That was just my journey in dance. I love ballet. It's definitely my favorite out of all styles, but
Ballet is important, people.
Ballet is very important. Please listen to your teachers. Gosh, ballet is the foundation of all dance.
It's like knowing your ABCs to be able to make a sentence.
Yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I knew at that time it was so heartbreaking, but I mean, I moved on. And I still do. Like, I'll still go and take ballet classes, even as a teacher and perform. I still have to do my work.
Yeah.
And I will always go take a ballet class. I will always go take any classes in
so
general.
This is so important. I'm just going to interject for a second. I tell my kids that professionals have to go back and take a basic class. Mm-hmm. And so this is me telling you that I'm right. Anyways.
Again.
I am right. Okay. So what I'm hearing, and this is really important for me because resilience is something that I have a very strong identity with. And that's just because of my own life experiences. But just listening to you, you built your whole identity as a young dancer around ballet, but you had to make a change. How did that sit with you?
Yeah, I mean, it was heartbreaking because being told, like, being too tall for that goal or that dream that you have, it's something out of your control, and you can't control that. You can't control whether you're too skinny or if you're too heavy or if you're too short. It's not a good thing to hear. And it's something that you can't fix. It's out of your control. And so you have to take it in a way where it wasn't meant to be. And so I had to just accept that and kind of move on to the next thing I wanted to work towards. And with that, I just encourage those, like, if that happens to them, you just have to realize that's not part of your journey, and you just move on to the next dream that you want to achieve.
That completely resonates with me because I think in life there is that saying, like, control what you control and then let go of what you can't control. And it's hard. So we know that you are a former Rockette. At what point did you consider auditioning for the Rockettes?
I think it was from the first time I ever saw them in person at 8 years old. I just remember my first show, my dance teacher and my mom took me. So again, it's always with mom and Miss J. And I just remember that's what I want to be when I grow up. When I first reacted to my mom at the end of the show, I was like, that's what I want to be. And yeah, it always had this sense of not just dance, but sort of a history, a legacy. And I was always just drawn to that. And obviously, it was a precision dance company that just focused on ballet, tap, and jazz. And again, ballet was such a big part of who I was. And I wanted to just be in something that was ballet focused. But then I had this other side to me where I loved to tap. I loved to perform. I loved musical theater on top of it. And it's sort of just, again, that when God closes a door, he opens a window. And I felt this sense of this was my window opportunity. And so technically, you're not supposed to audition until you're 18. And so I just, started auditioning. And I remember going into my first audition, how nerve wracking it was. I was a complete mess. I was not prepared. Even though I was prepared, there is so much out there, so much talent, so much that you don't experience until you're in it. And I felt like, okay, this is my time to step up my game. And it took a couple years to mature to find that. But again, like resilience, like you just keep going and you keep going. And I'm very fortunate that I did that. And again, like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my best friend dance. So
I'm kind of loving the theme of this whole conversation. Dance is my best friend, because I'm just like, I'm sitting here and I am reflecting on my own journey through life. And dance has always been the constant, has always been my best friend. But while I'm listening to you talk about like going into auditions and like reflecting back on that process, I'm just wondering, like, what was going through your mind
I wanted to
when
throw
you
up.
walked? You wanted to throw up.
I wanted to throw up.
Oh my God,
If
all
I'm
of
gonna
my kids resonate with that. You wanted to throw up.
But
how did you walk yourself through it? That's where resilience comes into play.
I think again, like, and this is just me, like what worked for me may not work for the next person. I remember I would go into, the auditions are held at Radio City Music Hall most of the time.
Ooh.
Or if you were going into a Broadway audition, they were always held by some sort of church.
Really?
And I would go into the church for just 5 minutes and just silently just take a moment. Take a moment to just take it in and know that at the end of today, I got to do what I love best.
You got to be with your best
I got
friend.
to be with my best friend, and I got to do that with the support of my family and having the faith that at the end of the day, I did what I love to do. And so I thought that is more important than making any cut, because any director or choreographer, they're not going to give you feedback like your teachers do. They're not going to tell you what you did wrong. You have to figure that out on your own, which is why it's so mentally and emotionally challenging when it comes to those things, because I feel like you don't have the answers. You just have to figure it out and hope for the best. And if you stick it out enough, it pays back in some way. And I know that no matter what, if I didn't make the cut, if I didn't get that one step correct, I enjoyed doing it. And that was more important to me than anything else in the world. And knowing that at the end of the day, my mom would call me, she'd be like, "How did you do?" And I'd be like, "I did my best, Mom, because I did what I love to do." And I think with that, that's what got me through. And I think it just took years to kind of process that and get to that maturity level of understanding that it is out of your control. And like you said, you just have to let things go. And I really had to let things go, because I know I would bottle it up, and to the point where I would be considering not doing it anymore, because it was taking me so long to just achieve it, and I just couldn't face the rejection anymore. And I just remember rejection, failure is all part of the journey, any journey in life, really.
And that last statement, so I've been sitting here listening to you talk, and I'm just smiling ear from ear because I'm like, ooh, this is some of the stuff that I say to my kids on the daily basis. But it really is just letting go.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and you can put that not even just with a dance career or a performing career, like you can put that in just life itself. And I think, again, like with everything that you do, you have to do what you need to do for you, show up for you, and just have the faith that it's all going to work out.
So, what I'm hearing you say is be authentically you.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Okay. I have to bring this conversation back to the fact that you have performed some of the most iconic stages in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the first time stepping onto one of those stages and what that moment felt like?
My gosh. Yeah, I just remember I was in my element. And that's with any stage. Like even if you're not performing on one of those iconic stages, I feel like no matter what stage I'm on, I'm in the moment and I can feel that moment. And I just remember the first time I got to dance at Madison Square Garden or even at Radio City Music Hall. I remember how happy I was, how I was so alive, and I would never trade that feeling ever. And I don't regret it because then why do we do it? But you do it for that.
Okay. So I have to touch on this.
Okay.
You have trained in ballroom.
Yes.
With Dancing with the Stars. Professionals.
Yes.
What did you learn from those mentors that stuck with you?
Yeah. So in my younger days, I was never really open-minded to learning new things in dance. Like I thought I could do it all, like without even trying. But I remember at a certain point, I wanted to learn and I wanted to be open-minded in someone teaching me something that I already didn't know. And so ballroom dancing, people told me they'd be like, oh, you should try it. You should do it. Found a studio that was owned by Max and Val. And they actually took me under their wing and they trained me. They gave me a sense that I had something in dance outside of what I already knew. And so they had the confidence in me to represent their studio where I was able to teach for a few years. And I just love dance. Again, it's just it just comes back to being dance as being your best friend. And I think it was just another way for me to be more of a dancer, not just in ballet, tap, jazz, music. Like it was more than just those styles. It was, okay, now I can do ballroom and I can do, smooth dances like the waltz and the foxtrot, which came easier to me because of my ballet background.
But then, 2, 3, 2,
yeah.
2, 3.
Exactly. And then you get to the Latin stuff and I was like, oh, this is the challenge. How do I move my hips while moving my feet, while doing these arm movements? And I was like, okay, we're going to figure out how to do the New Yorker the right way.
What is the New Yorker?
The New Yorker is this very specific cha-cha step that everyone does on Dancing with the Stars. You'll always know what it is because everyone does it. It's a very basic cha-cha step, but it took a while for my body to understand what my body was doing. So it is no easy task, but it became fun. It just was fun to learn something new and something challenging for my body. And I think that's how I think even now, like I still challenge myself in different genres of dance. I don't know if I could have done this when I was 20 years old and any younger because I was so close-minded. I only wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. And now I'm like, I want to learn everything about dance.
I resonate with this because so many times I have students that love tap dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you really gotta pay attention in ballet because like I don't know how to teach you that in ballet.
Right.
But like that's important. So you have to be open-minded. I love that you love tap dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's my niche, right?
Yep.
I love tap dance. But you have to love everything else and you have to be able to be vulnerable in all of the other styles to perfect your niche.
Yes.
Tap dance.
And I will say that even though ballet is like my first love and my bread and butter, tap dance was what people saw from me because they saw that I also loved this other style and was sort of my niche in a way too. I don't know if you've ever heard of the tapper's ear, but one of my mentors told me she was like, "You have a tapper's ear. Like tap dance is your thing. Like, do you know that?" And I was like, "What is that?" And she was like, "This is a thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But it's just one of those things where I didn't know I had a gift in tap dance until many, many years later. And it is such a beautiful thing to sort of still teach because I feel like it is a dying dance style in a sense, but I feel like trying to bring it back up or trying to keep it going has been such a special dance journey for me because even though I have all of these dance styles as my background, tap dance is a style that I want to keep going for a long time.
I have to ask this question. I have seen the Rockettes in live, and I know everybody has watched them on a Macy's Day Parade. And performing with the Rockettes requires incredible precision and consistency. What does the mental side of performing at that level look like or feel like?
Honestly, it's like training for the Olympics. And I think it's not only mental, but it's emotional and physical. You are literally doing 5,000 kicks per show. High kicks. They're not like kickball changes or little flicks or anything, but they're high kicks. And you're doing it on your own. I don't think most people know that, but you are doing it on your own. It takes so much strength, not just physically, but mentally. And I don't know. I don't know how I did it. It took a lot of, massage therapy, but also it took a lot of just taking care of your body and making sure that you ate enough, you went to the doctors when you needed to. I mean, I was very fortunate enough where my body, it definitely was tired, physically tired. There'd be times where I'd be coming out walking like I was dead. But if I was in the studio or on stage, you couldn't tell. It takes so much strength mentally, physically, and emotionally that you just do the work.
How did you recover mentally though if something went wrong on stage? Like you didn't get that kick high enough.
I think for me in the beginning, very much of a perfectionist as we all are as dancers. But then as years went by, I really just was like, well, it happens. I'm human. And I think, that's where you kind of have to let go in that perspective that you're not always going to hit that mark. But if you're capable of just letting go of whatever is going to happen, like if I didn't make that certain kick to every single high level, it wasn't the end of the world.
But I think like the most important thing that I want my young dancers to appreciate and give them permission to is to have grace.
Absolutely.
And to be able to be like, okay, this is my expectation and I'm gonna try my best.
Yeah.
And I might not meet it, but it's okay. That doesn't mean I didn't try.
Yeah.
It means I tried and maybe I didn't meet it. And maybe I'll try harder the next time. But I think my dancers today are so afraid of failure being the end all. And listening to you say like, okay, like it's the mindset behind it. And that's what I'm trying to teach my kids.
And I think I teach them the same way. I rather you be strong and wrong. Give it all you
Strong
got.
and wrong. Ooh,
It's something Miss K.
bust a beat.
Yes, Miss K says that all the time. Be strong and wrong. Because I'd rather that than you being afraid to take the chance. Because if you're afraid, you're going to be afraid on that stage, and it's going to show. But if you're strong and wrong, who's going to tell? Me? Okay.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. We have had so much fun talking with you. And I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
What mental habits did you notice in the dancers who seemed to thrive in an environment where pressure was the strongest?
Support. I think having support from friends, support from family, support from your teachers. I think I can definitely see when students trust the process and trust the support that they have surrounded around them, they could do anything.
I'm quiet because I'm super smiling and she's laughing at me, but I'm super smiling. I guess my question is, looking back, thinking about how many times did you audition for the Rockettes?
Too many times.
Too many times. What about those disappointments and pivots about being told you're too tall for ballet? What did they teach you about resilience as a dancer?
You know what? This should tell you so much about my mother, because there's this movie quote that she tells me all the time, and I mean, it's stuck by me. And it's a movie quote from this movie called A League of Their Own. And Tom Hanks' character says, "What makes it hard is what makes it great." And that has resonated with me a lot over the years. I think if it was easy, anybody can do it. If it's hard, that's what makes it great. And you have to work at it. And having so much support from my family and having so much support from teachers, mentors, coaches, that it made me want to show up for myself with my best friend and do the thing, even though it's so hard to accomplish. You just got to do it and show up for yourself. And then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you did what you did with your best friend.
I'm sitting here and I don't know what to say, because we all have that best friend. The best friend, I can name them, I can see them, but we forget that sometimes dance is our best friend, because that's the person that is the art that we go to when we're sad, when we're mad, when we're happy, when we feel like we fell out of love. We find all of that music, and then we go and we move our body, and then we're like, ooh, okay, I'm good. And I love that. I love that. Okay, my last question for you. Miss K, what advice would you give young dancers today who are dealing with the pressure, possible rejection, or uncertainty about their path?
Wow. I say keep going, persevere through everything. If you put in the work, you put in the time, everything comes together. And if something doesn't happen, if something is out of your reach, that doesn't mean to stop. It just means that it wasn't meant for you, but something else might be. And I think also showing up as you. Don't show up as anyone else. Don't show up as the person next to you is doing, because maybe what they're doing is not what your dance teacher wants you to show up as. Maybe they just want you to show up as you. And I think being your authentic self and showing your passion and showing the love that you have for it and working hard at it will come together in the end.
I have a response to that. When my first daughter was born, I would always tell her, there is one and only ever you. Kayleen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was such a complete honor, and I'm just so grateful that you gave me a chance to just kind of share my wisdom to your kids and any other kids that need this.
I'm grateful that you shared your story with us today and your journey from early training to performing on some of the most iconic stages in the world. It is incredibly inspiring. And I know that our listeners are going to take so much from this conversation. And thank you for spending this time with us. If today's episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, share with a dancer or dance parent in your life, and we'll see you in the next episode. Keep dancing, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of your own story. Lots of love, Miss Jen.